Okay, so I am the analyzer, and the topic we are going to be covering today is can Prince slash Fire Lord Zuko generate his own lightning at the end of Avatar The Last Airbender? Essentially, we're just going to listen to the quote straight from Iroh, and then we're going to jot down the requirements he says are needed to generate lightning.
Lightning is a pure expression of firebending without aggression. It is not fueled by rage or emotion the way other firebending is. Some call lightning the cold-blooded fire. It is precise and deadly, like Azula. To perform the technique requires peace of mind.
I see. That's why we're drinking tea. To calm the mind.
Oh yeah, good point. I mean, yes, there is energy all around us. The energy is both yin and yang, positive energy and negative energy. Only a select few firebenders can separate these energies. This creates an imbalance. The energy wants to restore balance, and in the moment the positive and negative energy come crashing back together. You provide release and guidance, creating lightning.
Why can't I do it? Instead of lightning, it keeps exploding in my face. Like everything always does.
I was afraid this might happen. You will not be able to master lightning until you have dealt with the turmoil inside you.
What turmoil?
Zuko, you must let go of your feelings of shame if you want your anger to go away.
So first off, I do want to apologize for the quality of those clips, simply because my computer's processor is absolutely horrible. So I have a lot of trouble running the clip alongside my screen recorder. So that's why if you heard the audio kind of stick a bit, I apologize for that. But pretty much all we have here is the actual requirements that I understood are what's needed to generate lightning. Okay, so it's stated by Iroh that the reason Zuko cannot generate lightning, and even though it may not be the only reason, it is certainly the main reason, is the inner turmoil he deals with through the majority of the series. But even though it is inarguable at the point that Iroh shows him how to do lightning, he can't do it because of that. It is almost inarguable that he's dealt with his turmoil when he decides to join Team Avatar and leave the Fire Nation, at least temporarily, until the war's over. So that's when he realizes that imprisoning his uncle and stuff's wrong, and that he should actually be joining Aang rather than fighting Aang. That's the point where his turmoil is over, and that barrier to him generating lightning should theoretically be completely lifted. So I kind of lump these into one requirement, skill and power, because as Iroh says, a select few firebenders can actually do it, and it's strongly implied that that's the reason you have to be extremely skillful and extremely powerful firebender. So at the beginning of the series, we see Zuko defeat Admiral Zhao, which a couple episodes later becomes Commander Zhao. And you don't become the commander in a Fire Nation without being a very powerful and very skillful firebender. Now, of course, we know that Commander Zhao cannot create lightning himself, so that still doesn't put Zuko to the point of he's able to do it. But the last Agni Kai, even though Azula's mental state is broken, that only really affects her skill, not really her power, and Zuko's shown to be nearly as powerful as Azula. In that fight, the flames pretty much equal each other out, and even though it's shown that Zuko may be a bit below Azula, it's not much. And Azula's been generating lightning for years, so at least at that point, even without the comet, Zuko should nearly and arguably be able to do it. And even if not, the fact that he doesn't do it in Sozin's comet, where his power is increased exponentially, shows that that's not a power thing. And during that entire final Agni Kai, Zuko is actually outmaneuvering and outskilling Azula in the fight. And we know Azula's a very smart fighter. She was hindered by her shadowed mental state. But even in that shadowed mental state, she generated lightning, so we know it's not hindering her below that point of lightning generation. So I think that pretty much says it, but as another point, just to put the nail in the coffin on power and skill, Iroh is extremely aware of the power and skill requirement to generate lightning because he generates lightning. And I don't think he would have even tried to teach Zuko that skill if he wasn't sure if Zuko was capable of doing it or not, because with all the issues Zuko already faced with pride and all that, he would know that would hurt his nephew to know he wasn't powerful enough to do that. So I think he would have waited till he knew for sure that he was powerful and skillful enough to do that. So I think it's nearly inarguable that he was powerful and skillful enough to do it at the point Iroh tried to show him, and if not, by the end of the series, it's inarguable. On to our third point, we have the fact that Iroh states you cannot fuel lightning with anger. And that's great writing because when Zuko joins Team Avatar, he actually loses his firebending completely because he no longer is feeling it with anger. And that is literally the exact same thing Iroh stated you cannot do with lightning. So, of course, at that point, he's no longer feeling with anger, but he has no firebending, so he'd still be unable to generate lightning, obviously. So then he goes, sees the Sun Royals, and does the dancing dragon or whatever, and gets a new source for firebending. It's no longer filled by anger, so that point would be lifted by default, and that requirement would be met. The only other reason why it's arguable that Zuko may not be able to do it is that he simply forgot the technique before he met the requirements. And let's just think about how unlikely that is. We see, even as an audience member, missing most of it for a montage, a great deal about the details of lightning generation and stuff. So, I feel like Zuko was well trained, probably for a course of literally hours on it. So he's not going to forget that. And when he was doing the forms and it kept exploding on him, Iroh, after a while, which was probably honestly with Zuko's determination, at least an hour by itself of him trying to do it, stopped him and said, you can't because of your inner turmoil. I think if he was just performing the form wrong, I would have tried correcting his form first, before just assuming it was because of an inner turmoil. And then even if somehow he did forget the technique between then and the end of the series, when he reunited with Iroh, and they talked about their destiny and all of that, I would imagine that he, knowing he was about to go fight Azula and admitted to Iroh that he needed help to beat her, that he would have said, hey, can you show me that lightning technique now that I'm no longer fueled by anger? Now that I no longer have that inner turmoil and I know right from wrong, you want to show me that form one more time so I can get this lightning stuff in case I need it against, the third strongest firebending in the entire world? Because, inarguably, I think he would have. And even if he did forget, he might have off-screen got a refresher course from Iroh. But I honestly think it'd be very unlikely that would be necessary to begin with. So the last question is If Zuko is 100% perfectly capable of generating lightning, which he most likely is, why didn't we see him do that in the actual show? Well, this is for several reasons. First of all, after he gained the mental stability and everything required to do so, he didn't fight anyone except Azula, and he's not going to kill his sister with lightning. And we know that he would not do that even if he was given the perfect opportunity, because he was given the perfect opportunity after Katara chained her up. He could have killed her with fire even if he didn't have lightning, and he chose not to, which we know from the comics that the fourth book that was actually originally supposed to be in the show is Azula's redemption arc, which was scrapped for the live action show, the live action movie that everyone hates. But regardlessly, the fact remains he chose not to kill his sister, and that raises the question, of course, of why did he prompt Azula to shoot lightning at him for him to redirect. And I think by watching the fight, this should be obvious. He was using a lot less energy and trying to waste Azula's stamina. And I think lightning generation probably takes a lot more stamina than regular fire, even the mass amounts they were putting out in that fight. So I think, honestly, Zuko is just going to redirect into the sky and keep wasting her stamina until she collapsed, was his original plan. But of course we know that she shot at Katara and then he was forced to step in the way, and it didn't go well. But regardlessly, I think the evidence shows he was never going to kill Azula in that Agni Kai. Even when he had the chance to, he chose not to. So I think he most likely actually did shoot lightning off screen. And I think that's further shown by the fact that he did teach Aang lightning redirection. I do not feel Aang would have the fire-bending power or skill required to shoot lightning, so Aang most certainly cannot shoot lightning like Zuko can. But I do think it would be semi-likely that Zuko might have shot lightning at Aang to teach him how to redirect it, although he might have been like Iroh and said, I'm not going to shoot lightning at you. You never know. But regardlessly, the evidence overwhelmingly supports that Zuko can shoot lightning at the end of Avatar, The Last Airbender.